So my name's Simon Blake and I'm the Chief Executive of the social enterprise Mental Health First Aid England, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Mike Christensen, who's the European Lifestyle Editor at GQ. Welcome, Mike, and thank you for agreeing to talk to me.
Thanks very much, Simon. It's great to be here, and very excited to be discussing a very important topic, which I think, needs a lot more awareness around.
Great, and we're obviously talking ahead of Men's Health Week, which is in the middle of June the 13th, and Men's Health Week is trying to draw attention to the fact that often men don't think about their body or their mind, and perhaps mental health, is even more of an issue that men don't talk about. But do you just tell me a bit about your approach at GQ, your thoughts about men and health, and is this a particularly important time of year?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously with GQ, we look after all things men's lifestyle, and health and fitness and health of mind that all kind of plays into it. It's a very important part of our life. Very important part of I guess the strategy and content that we create, and always kind of has been. But I think over the years, recent years, it's become a lot more apparent that there's certain things that do need to be discussed a lot more. So having things like Men's Health Week is obviously a brilliant initiative, so to speak. Like, it's a great thing to have there to be championing these kind of causes. But I think one thing that we are very aware of is that men's mental health and health issues don't just disappear after 1 week. So it's very important to make sure, from our perspective, that we are having this conversation. We're continuing this conversation throughout the year. Always, it's kind of an omnipresent conversation that we're always having with our readers, with our audience, making sure that there's ways in which we are checking in with people, and making sure that they're checking in with themselves and with their friends. And I think we're quite fortunate. There's all sorts of ways we're able to do that, whether it's through I guess celebrities or sports people that are speaking out and being open about it, to just different initiatives, like there's all sorts of car communities, for example, finding that a car community that do kind of catch up on a weekly basis. So there's a lot of things out there that we like to, I guess, and want to champion and celebrate, to show, I guess, that this is a very important topic to us.
So I think this is a forum topic all year round, and Men's Health Forum has been around for 20 years or so, and trying to champion men's health issues. And Men's Health Week was conceived at a time when probably people were not talking very much about health, and even the men's magazines were not doing so. So I guess, just to put that in context, really, we know that men often go to the doctors at the point that it's too late, when things have already gone wrong. And although things will be changing, I'll be interested in your take on that there's perhaps less attention paid into looking after their health, and particularly when it comes to mental health. And we can talk a bit more about some of the statistics about that later. Yeah. But I guess I'd be really interested, have you seen a shift in attitude towards physical and or mental health in your time? You've been there for 8 years, working in Australia and then in the UK.
I work for GQ across Australia and the UK. I mean, Aussie blokes are a different breed, let's say, but there's still those conversations to be had. But I think definitely there is a lot more of an openness to open up. A lot more people feel a lot more comfortable. Men feel a lot more comfortable to, I guess, to lay themselves bare in certain respects, from a health perspective and from a mental health perspective. I think certainly, there's a lot of initiatives and incentives for people to make sure that they are kind of speaking out, or they are checking themselves. In Australia, obviously, skin cancer was a big thing, which I worked with quite a few of the top cricketers, from Michael Clarke and stuff like that. I think he once had found a lump or something on his nose, and that raised awareness for, he was all of a sudden like, hang on a minute, guys, anyone out there, anyone on his social media following was therefore then aware that, guys, stop being silly, just go get yourself checked out. It's like half an hour out of your day. So I think certainly there is a great, you know, social media, things like that, they have a great, whilst some people can, you know, sort of not like the fact that you end up doom scrolling through for hours and hours, whilst there's a lot of opportunity out there to make sure that educating and getting people on board with things that they're not necessarily done. So definitely the awareness of checking yourself is definitely happening a lot more. And just the phrase, I think is really interesting, the vernaculars that are used kind of around these kind of things. Like obviously you do have these kind of like words, whether it's issues or, you know, disorders or problems or struggles, they're all kind of quite like, they're not really words that you want to necessarily be associated with. But I think as soon as you can kind of like, you know, change those that lingo to, you know, just checkups, like it's really not that difficult, is it? It all of a sudden feels a lot more less foreign and less like scary to just be like, oh, you know, what we should be doing more of that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think on the Men's Health Forum website, the promotion for Men's Health Week, which is about you know, checking yourself, time for your MOT. They use the sort of analogy of a car and talk about the car tires, and you know, are your tires a bit bare after the pandemic? So you know, clearly there are some analogies. You know, people often, you know, talk about, yeah, the checking your balls and doing your MOT and all those sorts of things. And this would be interesting. Do you think that is an approach which your readers take? You're saying, you know, make it simple, just check yourself, check in with yourself. You know, do you think we perhaps sometimes overcomplicate this or try to make too many analogies?
I think so. I think there is definitely, you know, at the end of the day, you know, guys, and this isn't sort of a slight at men, but they can be quite simple, and it's good to sort of keep things on relatively simple terms and very sort of quite direct and quite, you know, obvious. And I think the more obvious that certain things are, the better they are. And there are at the end of the day, there aren't actually that many nuances to checking your balls, as you say, or making sure that, you know, if you find a lump somewhere, that you actually go and sort it out, or if you feeling that you're short of breath or something, that you actually just kind of speak to someone about it and do something, as opposed to just kind of you know, ignore it. I think, as I said, like in this day and age, there is a lot more information out there for you to kind of seek out and find as well. That's another thing. Like there's a lot more for, whether it's forums like yourselves or, you know, just information generally on the internet. Like you can Google anything and before you know it, you've got this. And so I think there are certain things which, even if you're not feeling comfortable to speak out to someone, or to, you know, to get a friend to say, does this feel like a lump or whatever, you can still, there's still more people to be able to consult and to sort of get a second opinion, so to speak, or get an opinion that you kind of value, whether it's from a publication to a sort of health site.
Yeah. And so we talked there about feeling the lump, and of course one of the things around mental health is that often there are no visible signs, not to yourself anyway, and that, you know, we have at Mental Health First Aid England a My Whole Self MOT, which is a series of questions to help you think about your mind and how you're feeling, and whether, you know, we talk about a stress container. You know, how full is your stress container, and what are you doing in order to manage that? Because of course there are things that, you know, we all experience stresses and strains, but there are things that you can do, and then thinking about, you know, whether you need to get medical help or other help. But one of the things that we do know about mental health is that often there is a stigma about asking for help, about accepting help, and that's particularly true for boys and young men. Maybe that boys learn that they don't cry. You know, that old adage, you know, big boys don't cry, boys don't ask for help, boys don't feel vulnerable, and to learn that from a very, very early age. So I'd be interested in your, you know, your understanding of your readers or men's sort of sense that, is there a difference between how they respond to physical health and mental health, and how it might be able to bridge some of, or what might be the reasons for that, first of all?
Yeah, well, the reasons, I guess, are, you know, as you say, what you've just mentioned here, boys shouldn't cry, and this was the kind of you should do this, and this is, you should, you know, you've got to be strong, and blah blah blah. You know, those are age old. I think what's interesting now is that there is just more of an opportunity for more people to think, hang on a minute, like, where am I at? And I can actually I can deal with these kind of things. I can talk to myself, even if it's just talking to yourself to start with. I think that's one thing, like being able to check in with yourself and be able to discuss things with yourself and think about things, you know, is a good opportunity, is a good way of being able to think, okay, hang on a minute, like there is something wrong here. And if you're not feeling like yourself, if you're not being able to, you know, communicate correctly, then obviously there are issues. If you're not feeling like you want to get out and exercise or whatever, where you normally exercise, then there's sort of things that you can see which are affecting you that are really clearly showing that there is a problem.
Thank you very much, Mike, for joining for this conversation. I look forward to part 2.
Cool. Thank you.